All right, it's still good morning, Anambra. Like I told you that we have more on the show this morning. And as it stands, our children, it's often said that they are leaders of tomorrow, and we need to guide them properly to be that leaders that we'll be so proud of. And there's this saying that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. And so throughout the period of lockdown in the whole world, our children, some of them are really, they are really tired of staying back. And of course, they must be doing one or two things to keep themselves busy while the lockdown lasts or the stay at home lasts, as the case may be. Now, let's get you into talking about getting busy in a pandemic. Getting busy in a pandemic. And in the studio right now, I have Sir Emeka Ejide. Sir Emeka Ejide is a consultant RULAC, that's rule of law and anti-corruption. And we also have Ezeaku Daniel Chidubem, who is a male ambassador of Anambra State Children's Parliament. Sir Emeka, we're glad to welcome you to the studio.
Thank you and good morning.
All right, we also welcome you, Ezeaku Daniel Chidubem. Welcome.
Good morning.
All right. Now, Ezeaku, let me begin with you. You're a young chap. What have you been doing all this while from the lockdown till date? What have you been doing to help keep yourself busy?
All right. After we were indefinitely shut down, 23rd of March.
Indefinitely, indeed.
Because we don't yet know when we are going to resume.
Okay.
So from 23rd of March, we were staying at home. And I had to start doing something. So I began to start to learn to trade Forex, foreign exchange, and a lot of online opportunities out there. So I started taking courses online and also to learn how to trade Forex. And because I am a WAEC candidate, and I can proudly tell you that before WAEC started last week, that I've already completed some courses, and I've gone far in the Forex trading.
That's good to know. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. Now, Sir Emeka, you are of rule of law and anti-corruption. That's a RULAC. You're the consultant. Please tell us, what actually does it mean to keep these children busy during this period?
As a matter of fact, pandemic is not a good thing for our children, and adults inclusive. And most times you see that when there is total lockdown, the schools are shut down, churches, apart from the markets. And when you go out, you need to maintain the kind of social distance. And when you put all these things together, you see that the total lockdown means you can only be out where it is absolutely necessary and to take care of the stomach infrastructure. And children, in particular, they have a lot of things to do. And it becomes taxing for parents. And at the same time, a good opportunity for good parenting, because that is the only time you have to spend with your children, whether you like it or not, because of the lockdown. So parents stay at home with their children, and then parents make sure that everybody gets busy. And one of the ways to do that is, one, to initiate routine program for the children at home, and make sure that children have access to online activities and opportunities. Just like you rightly said, based on that opportunity, he's delved into certain courses in Forex and other courses that keep them busy. And then they get to do what they should do. And at the same time, parents equally try to get mother's helper by coming to the home and do certain advices to the children so that their children can equally be very active at home. But in this process, a lot of things have actually affected them negatively.
Yes, I was coming to that. We've had so many gory stories as a result of this lockdown. And sometimes you begin to wonder, are these people actually humans? The adults that we are supposed to take care of these kids, turning to molest them, all in the name that we are in lockdown. I don't know, is there anything RULAC is doing as regards this?
Yes, because there is an increase in gender-based violence, and at the same time, violence against children. If you look at, for example now, the component area we are talking about is access to justice for women, children, and people living with disabilities. Under this pandemic, a center known as Ntasi, which is Sexual Assault Referral Center, has actually witnessed a lot of cases. As a result of this pandemic, many children were molested, just as you rightly said, and so many cases already pending in courts. So we are doing everything possible to make sure that those effects as affects children are really remedied by ensuring access to justice. So the pandemic has actually brought a lot of untold hardship and trauma to our children. But we are hoping that at the end of the pandemic, which is actually something we are saying that could end in the near future, yes. If it does, and then they go back to schools, and then we see what could be done.
All right. Now, my dear Ezeaku Daniel, you talked about what you were able to achieve during this pandemic, but I'm equally concerned about some other children that don't have access to the laptops, the phones. We know that the phones, there are so many people that cannot afford these things. And there are so many in rural areas that maybe electricity could be a factor that hinder them. So what do you think about those level of children?
All right. The truth of the matter is that starting from here at ABS, the Anambra State Teaching on Air, it cannot be regarded as a complete success because there are still children from hard-to-reach areas who cannot even partake in the lessons here. Now, coming to the online aspect of it, immediately after schools were shut down, many private schools had the ability or they had the infrastructure to switch over to the online side of life. So, and many of their pupils and students took advantage of the facilities available. But they are a minority compared to the overwhelming majority of children scattered all across Anambra State and Nigeria as a whole, who are not able to take part in this. I come from a rural area myself, and I can really tell you that from my observations, I've seen that an overwhelming majority of them have been doing nothing for the past few months that we've been staying at home. And it has exposed them to a lot of things because when you stay at home from morning to night, and the following morning you keep on staying at home and you are doing nothing, the parents see it as an added advantage to choose their children for economic purposes, which is why you see them on the street hawking. It's rampant now. At least when you go to a Koka around 5, and you see, it's an eyesore at the sight of children there. Both those that should still be at home, toddling around, even on the streets. And most times you are handicapped to react because the pandemic has also ushered an economic breakdown in this country. So you see that parents now see their children as a means of income, and they send them on the streets every morning, afternoon, night. They're on the streets, and they don't even have time to spend with their children because they're on the streets all day. Now, another adverse effect is that when children stay at home altogether, that is why you see a surge in the increase of these social abuses, child abuses, and sexual violence. A father raping his daughter and all of this. It's just antisocial from every perspective that you look at it. Then we come to the issue of cultism. Children have been staying at home, and many of them, even the bright ones, are susceptible to peer influence and bad influence. So they stay at home, and before you know it, they start joining bad gangs. Now, these gangs that they join are exposing them to a lot of things. They start smoking, they start doing a lot of things. You heard recently that the SA to the governor was stabbed. Now, the rumor going around is that it was by cultists. Now, you can see what is happening in Oka. It's replicated everywhere. Thanks to our law enforcement agents and to our active governor, he's trying his best to curtail it. But all the same, children are staying at home, and they are the future. So it really pains the heart to see that they're
all right. I think we will still get back to you to talk about some of the things that could help these children to come up, because sometimes when you say that somebody is not, there are people that need help actually. Now, Emeka, you said something about getting justice for these children that have been abused. Now, in Anambra State, I don't know if you've had any case of any people coming up to seek you people to help in getting that justice required for their young ones that were abused during this period?
Yes. As at now, more than 134 cases have been reported. And most of them are currently in courts. That tells you, one, that the number of cases reported during this pandemic is much more than the number reported before the pandemic. And it is because of the intervention of ROLAC in ensuring that that center, which is Sexual Referral Center, which is SACS, at Enugu, called as Ntasi, is active.
Where actually is it located? At
the General Hospital in Enugu. Okay. So, and that is a one-spot center.
Okay, I think I've seen your signboard there.
Yes, a one-spot center that takes care of everything from prosecution to psychosocial and rehabilitation. All in one is in that center. So most cases that are reported, if they are reported there, it takes its immediate course. And the cases are managed by professionals that sees that such cases gets to its logical end. And again, the pandemic, apart from its vices on that, you see a lot of crisis in homes, just as he enumerated, people from the rural areas not having access to internet facilities. And you have to ask yourself, at the end of the pandemic, what will become of the future of our children? Will we go back to where we were before? I have never seen a situation where after a pandemic, the society recovers in less than 10 years. And that is something going to be bad for us. And when there is economic lockdown, there is a social lockdown, and a lot of crisis going on. And that is affecting the development of the child. And you ask yourself, the rights ascribed to these children that are being violated now, and at the end of the pandemic, to what extent will it be acquired by them?
Okay, I think it will be proper for us to talk about these rights and laws, so that some of our parents watching this program might get to understand and how they can access these your services. To get, I don't know if you're getting where I'm going.
Yes.
Tell us about these laws. Tell us about the rights of these children, so that some of our parents will get to understand that these children, even no matter their children, they also have rights as every other person.
Yes, they do have rights. Just in Anambra State, fortunately, we were the first state in Nigeria to domesticate the Child Rights Act. And now we have the Anambra State Child Rights Law. And this very law has equally been simplified, courtesy of ROLAC, funded by European Union, and that it's now been disseminated in all the communities. And the more you understand the Child Rights Law, the better for you. And the essence of the law is a single document that enables our children to know their rights and responsibilities. And at the same time, the duty bearers should equally know what they are to do. Because it is everyone's concern, both you, myself, the government.
You can mention some of them.
For example, there's right to universal basic education. There's right to health facilities, and there is right to development. And that shows that every child is entitled to universal basic education, and which should be quality education from 0-1 to 9. And you see many of these children hawking during school hours. That is a violation of rights. And you ask yourself, these people hawking, why are they hawking during school hours? A child has a right to help the parents, but it must be purposefully in domestic chores or agriculture. And if a child should move from one area to the other in order to be with somebody, it must be purposely for education and welfare. But most times, the children are being deceived, taken from homes, from rural area, and migrate to urban areas, staying with their relations or staying with people who have deceived their parents that they are going to train them, only to turn them to economic robots. And that causes a lot of work. And when you expose a child to certain unfriendly environment, this is the result of what you get. And now we are making sure that all those that violate the rights of a child are never left unpunished. And there's good access to it that things are moving on now. And if we continue at this pace, it's better. One important thing again is that you cannot implement the child's right law in isolation. There must be a child correctional center. Fortunately, we have a center at Umunze, which is still in the process of being completed. And we have the opportunity to urge the state government to speedy up action so that with that correctional institution in place, then the child's right law will be said and will be known to have been fully implemented.
All right, we'll still get back to you to tell us more on how some of the parents will have access to getting these justices. Now, Daniel, you know, as a young boy, I see how sharp, you're a sharp guy, so to speak, you know, and I don't know how it feels to see some of your mates, you know, out there idle, not doing anything. Does it mean you don't have friends that could influence you, that made you, you know, stand out to do some of the things you do?
No, it's not that. No one is perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, I see perfection as one of our structural defects as human beings generally. But all the same, it depends on your home training. Depends on your home training. So while we all went home on that day, 23rd March, many families were not prepared for what was to come. So many parents were caught unawares, and being that their children had not been receiving appropriate care, parental care. Parental care is not just feeding the child. The moral life of a child is very, very crucial, very, very crucial. So many parents neglected that aspect of life, and their children went haywire. During this period, I know most of my mates who couldn't return back to school for this WAEC.
For the WAEC?
Yes, many
Really?
who couldn't return. Because by the time they start smoking, he has lost interest in education. So it's even, it's a catastrophe, because next year, if school should resume, the turnout will be very, very poor, because many have lost interest in education. And you see many of them going into cybercrime, the popular Yahoo boys, slam, and all of that. It's all about if they were properly, you know, given an orientation at home, the moral life, thought this is what it should be. A pandemic should not be an excuse for them to derail. That this should be a point where they should start imbibing those core values. But it pains me to see my mates acting that way. I thank the religious body. The church is trying in its own capacity to make sure that they draw the youth back to the church. But all the same, it cannot be regarded as complete success. Much it needs to be done.
Okay, I think we'll still get back, so that tell us some of the things that your mates can do actually to stand out. Yeah. Now, Emeka,
yes.
About the Ntasi, or what did you call it, that is situated at Enugu.
Yes.
Now, could you tell us more about that place? How can somebody that needs help, you know, get help from that place?
Yes, if anyone is sexually molested or violated,
a child,
the first thing to do is, one, in the community where you are, we have the social protection officers that are domiciled in the local government areas. But where it is not very feasible to do that, they can equally move straight to Ntasi at Enugu General Hospital. And once you get there, action starts. And at the same time, there is what we call the State Child's Rights Implementation Committee that's equally domiciled in the Ministry of Women Affairs, Ministry of Women and Children Affairs. That's under one shorten. And again, the police station is there. Because right now, with the assistance of ROLAC, we have sensitized the various police stations, the police officers in the various stations, that when they receive cases of gender-based violence or even sexual molestation, they definitely refer the person to the appropriate quarters. So, but the point we are trying to make, our people should learn to report cases and not to handle the cases themselves. Because most of them shy away from following up cases. It is free of charge. It does not cost money.
I was about asking that.
It's free of charge. So we should note, one, that reporting a case is all you need to do. And then the child will be guaranteed access to justice.
Okay, now are there some challenges you face, you know, in the course of carrying out these responsibilities, maybe from the parents from the society or from government or wherever?
Yes,
There's some challenges?
most time, initially, the issue of stigmatization became a very big issue.
Who stigmatizing who?
Because parents believe that when they report such matters, that the stigmatization begins to
build around the child.
Yes, in their communities. But now they have seen a lot of people coming up. It is not stigmatizing, because if you don't report the case, you could be a victim tomorrow. So they now begin to report such matters. And
even the person that committed the crime will not,
exactly.
be punished to serve as deterrent to others.
That is why we now said anybody that does it. Like now we have the Child Protection Network, we have the Child Protection Committee, and we have the VAP Committee. They are working together to make sure that people that violate such rights they don't go unpunished. And what we are saying, that everybody should learn to report matters. Once you report matters, that is 50% solved. But your inability to report the cases definitely will increase the number of such violations within the locality, including yourself. So our appeal to parents, the society, is that please do not allow any matter of gender-based violence or sexual molestation or abuse on any child not to be reported. Be our brother's keeper.
All right. Now, Daniel, please, let's now talk about what do you think actually that could happen to these young ones? You talked about some that could not return for WAEC.
Yes.
I don't know how redeemable they could be, maybe sooner than later. What do you suggest that the young ones should get into so that they could keep themselves busy? Because I know that when you are busy, you
Yes.
think less of evil.
Yes, of course. Thank you for that question. Now, I think I am in a better position to answer that question.
All right, go ahead.
So, first and foremost, even when a child is indulging in any vocational activity, education is paramount. So, first of all, let us take advantage of the program here at ABS, the Anambra State Teaching on Air.
Teaching on Air.
Yes. So, if the state government could distribute radio sets to hard-to-reach areas where children do not have the opportunity to even listen on the program, because if they are not listening to the program, their parents can tell them, oh yeah, go and hawk this in the market, go and do this, go and do that. And so if they can partake in that, at least it won't be an all-out passive holiday for them. There will be at least a timetable. And since it's so structured that even if you are in class 1 up till SS3, there are lessons for you. You see that everybody will be participating in the event. Now, on the other side of it, there are several vocational skills out there. And I thank the government immensely for all the skill acquisition centers. I'm a native of Ubu, and we have a functional one there. Thanks
Really?
to the Willie Obiano Choose Your Community project. So we erected a skill acquisition center. And many of them are taking advantage of it. You could participate in sewing, in barbing, in shoemaking, driving, anything. You don't know how it will work out for you. A skill is powerful because you will never, ever be in lack of anything. And seeing how the economy is, self-employment is the slogan of today. So if they can learn it at such a young age, it will help them immensely. Then, to curtail them from participating in this cyber crime, the Yahoo issue, there are other cyber businesses that they can take advantage of. There are online facilities out there that one can engage in. To start with, there are, like I said, I'm learning how to trade Forex. It's a very adventurous issue. You could take opportunity in it. It requires one who can think articulately. And if you are one, you can take advantage of that. You can open up a blog or a vlog in YouTube and start doing something. Be creative. It helps. You never know who is going to watch it outside there. And you start earning. No matter how little it is, it's your might. As a child, and you know that you earned something, it will give you joy that you could make something out of this. Then, like I'm a literature student, I write commentary for here, ABS. You could apply to these newspapers to be a guest columnist, something like that. It helps. It will build you academically and build you intellectually, like in your thinking and all of that. So these are a few ways that we could get engaged.
All right, thank you, Emeka. Okay, it's like you're yearning to say something?
Yes.
All right.
Actually, from what you have said, in a pandemic, it is very, very serious and to acquire certain skills because of the precautionary measures you need to take. And many people out there, you need to maintain the social distance, and you need to take certain measures so that you can kind of acquire certain skills. But the pandemic has made it impossible. If you go to many skill acquisition centers, you don't have enough people there. And where you see people there, they do not maintain the social distance. So imagine a situation where the COVID actually becomes devastating. It will be horrible in the state. Even in the market, if you go to the market, as at now, in the Ikoka, in spite of the government efforts to take certain precautionary measures, it is still not so. So a lot of things are really happening. So in a pandemic, what we should be thinking of, that this pandemic is not very friendly to all, especially children who ab initio have been vulnerable. And now they are even more vulnerable in a pandemic. So what I'm trying to say is that people from the hard-to-reach areas who will have suggested where you provide certain electronic means for people to benefit from these online lectures. But you discover that when you do that, you're trying to make use of the community environment by the town hall, gathering spots, but they're not going to maintain the social distance. So it will not equally improve what we are talking about.
All right, summarily, what's your advice to parents concerning keeping their children busy? In 2 seconds, sorry.
Yes, parents definitely should use the opportunity of the lockdown to stay at home and do good parenting and only move out where absolutely necessary. There is no doubt that there is economic lockdown. That's why we encourage the government to actually do that palliative as a support to that.
All right. We can't go any further at this point. We'd like to thank you so much, Sir Emeka Ejide, the consultant of ROLAC. Thanks for coming. Thank you so much, Ezeaku Daniel Chidubem, male ambassador of Anambra State Children's Parliament. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, we thank you so much for watching this segment. At this point, we'd like to let you know that we'll bring you a testimonial by Uche Nwora on the influence of childhood experiences on his achievement as a child. We'll be back.
It's different, way different. Not anywhere near what young kids these days are experiencing, Today's generation, this device that I have here has kind of ruined everything, for them. Because in our days, growing up as a young child, that was the era of playing, in the community, playing in what we call yard, and Diobe, people around the area will come out. Either we come to your compound or we go to their compound. And so there's usually, you play football. It was at that primary school age that we all learned to do, ball juggling. That's where you learn all these things. Then we used to play inter-street football competitions. I grew up in Aba, Ozubulu Road, so we used to do what we call ball race. There's a game, something that we do that, you build you get a piece of wood, and then, you construct kind of like a handle, and then you get a wheel, and then so your fellow kids will now be pushing you, and it's like a mobile cart that we, So there are all kinds of things that we did when we were young. The very first thing you do when you're young is, you must help out in the house, in the home. That's standard. You have your household chores. Like then in my house, some people's responsibility was to just wake up, you go and sweep the compound. Then some other person will be washing plates. Then it's not about where you have a house help or you don't have a house help. Everybody must get involved in what's happening in the house. And that's what helped all of us, so that when we now became independent and started living alone, it wasn't a problem. Like, I'm one of the best cooks in the world, because I learned that, watching my mom, watching those people that were helping around the house cook when they, when we were young. Then after that, during holidays, something that we did very well, but that was now in secondary school, we used to attend extramural classes. You know, because what he does, he helps to introduce you to other kids from other schools. Everybody comes out there together, read novels, exchange novels, Hadley Chase, Nick Carter, Mills and Boone. We didn't have movies and all that unlike now that you can watch on your phone. So it's novels novel transports you to America, transports you to London. So those were exciting, exciting things and exciting days. Then I think I remember also, I was interested in money when I was young because my dad was a businessman and a contractor. So she also had a shop. So I grew up in a family where, you wake up, you see somebody's talking about money, dad is talking about money, his boys that used to trade with him will come and I say, go here and carry this, so that's how I got interested in money. So what my dad would let us do, from primary school, when we come back from school or during holiday, he will allow us come to his shop. His shop then was at Asa Road, okay? He would allow us come to the shop, big shop then, and just to sit around and just see what's happening. And sometimes you help customers, they buy paint, because my dad had a building materials shop. They buy paint, you help them to put it in the vehicle and all that. And usually at the end of the day, my dad would give us some money, and say, this is for your effort, So that's where I learned to reward people. I learned it from my dad. Then after a while, I think I think it was in my primary 6. I said, let me start my own business. I said, man, because I started seeing other kids around the area. They were doing, this corn, people fry corn, and I started doing that. I said, I got together my own things, and I started selling corn in front of my father's house. Nobody told me to do that. And all the money I was making was my money. Then from selling corn, I started doing, I think that's what is called akwa gazi, guinea fowl eggs. Then I now saw that people were making more money from guinea fowl eggs. So I now branched out and started buying. You buy it in crates. Like hawk. I hawked, and I was hawking dry meat from Port Harcourt Road to Asa Road and all that. Then after that, I also hawked bread. All these enterprises were just my enterprises, were my thing, and all the money I was making was my own, So those were all fun now to get us busy, get us serious. Now you can't really trust your kids to be that adventurous anymore because we live in a different time, because sometimes the challenge, it depends on where one lives. We are happy that in Anambra State we don't have such security challenges, but unfortunately my family are not here, they live somewhere else. But I just look at other families and other places where people live. People are really afraid of allowing their kids to wander off, like we did. In our era, nobody, but nothing was happening to anybody. So kids were free to do what they wanted to. Many of them now, spend more of their time on the smartphone, on such devices. But again, they play games and all that. But again, another thing I want to recommend or suggest is there are also a lot of things kids can do with the phone outside playing games. They can learn coding, they can learn all sorts of things, designing, graphics. If you want to be an artist, you can sing. You can even shoot a movie with your phone. So they should begin to learn what to do with the phone beyond playing games. Online lessons, they can do online lessons. Of course, the Anambra Teaching on Air, if you live in Anambra, that you can also access on your phone and all that. So, we can't say that gone are the good old days. Let them enjoy what they have, but we have to.
It was a wonderful testimonial there by Uche Nwora on he shared his experiences growing up and how it has actually helped him to become who he is today. Now we are still talking on of getting busy in a pandemic, and from what he said, I can hear him say time and time again, I learned this from my father. Now, before we actually go on, let me introduce the guests we have now. I have Chekwube Ezekwike. Chekwube Ezekwike is a legal practitioner and former resident council feeder. Yes. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, I also welcome you, Chidubem Ezekwe. You are Chidubem, Committee Supervisor, Anambra Children's Parliament. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, you watched this testimonial with me, and from all what he said, you can always hear, I learned this from my father. That shows that he has a father that is always there, or was always there for him to guide him through life. You know, what do you have to say about that?
Anyway,
and compared to what we see today?
It's not far from the truth, because I have an experience. Personally, as a growing up child, life wasn't that favorable for us. I was out there on the street hawking. I sold pure ice waters at that time. I sold my granules and other items just to assist my education, assist my parents in training me. But the truth is that during that time, we didn't have these security problems we are facing here right now in the country. Then you can trek from Wallywood down to Awada without being kidnapped. Unlike now, you have parents. For me personally, I wouldn't allow my kid to leave my compound when I'm not around. Even when I'm around, you dare not cross the gate of the compound because of security reasons. And of course, when you look at the fact that today, presently, education is the key. It's not like before this time when whatever happens, children are out there to fight for themselves, speak for themselves. You have to make sure that those children pay attention to school activities and also learn skills that will also
You know,
make them
I wanted us
who they are
to
too.
stress more on parents being there for the children. You know, because these days, some people, because of economy, a man is chasing money, the woman is chasing money, the children are left on their own to wander. Now, from the testimonial, he kept saying, I learned this from my father. Unlike some people that maybe it's only the mother that is around. But this one, the father is always there, you know. And ndị Igbo si na nnewu na-ata agbala nwa ya na-eni anya, you know, and with that, he's been able to stand strong today. I don't know, when we look at those years and what we see today, some parents will get a maid and keep, you know, take care of the children and you go your way. So what do we have to say about that?
My dear, the truth is that we have economic meltdown, and you find that parents are not always available to educate those kids or teach them, just like the
And don't you
said.
think it's part of what we are suffering today?
Yes, it's part of what we are suffering today. Personally, it's on an individual basis anyway. I have a child who is living with me. She's just 14 years. During the pandemic, I ensured that I enroll her in one of the salon business so that at least she can learn how to make thread, learn how to fix weave-ons and all of that. My son also, I just took her to a neighbor's, I took him to a neighbor's house to learn how to draw. Those basic skills, you know, he just 4 years, and I pray that by the time he gets to 12 years, he can be able to go into printing, graphic design and all of that. So it depends on the parents. Parents should also stand out to know that these children need those basic skills.
All right, Chidubem, you know, what effect do you think this will have on our kids when our parents begin to stay there for them? Because it's not that you will not do anything, but doing something that can actually help you to, you know, one eye here, one eye the other way. So what do you think, Chidubem?
First of all, it is no doubt anymore. It's very, very clear and axiomatic that when a parent, there is this bond between a parent and a child. When a parent starts staying there, watching the moves, the length and breadth of the movement of his or her children, you'll find out that the child will get used to him or her. These days, there are a lot of social issues, social promiscuities going around everywhere. So most times, the reason why children turn bad is that they don't have any person to complain to, any person to share. But if
you know,
parents,
Igbo is so beautiful. Oh. See that na okay, you know, that means when a parent is there, there are things these children may want to do because daddy is around, because mommy is around, and before you know it, the time will overtake it. You know, they won't find time to do it again.
Yes, of course. They will be forced to retreat as a result of established fear that has been built in them. There is this kind of fear. Most families, fathers, I think, if it's their mother now, they'll be like, hey, mom is around. Let's go and tell her. You understand me? But if it's the father now, that is around, the Iron Man is there. So by the time the father's face, like these days, message comes from the face. The face, you look at them. The message will spread and they'll be forced to retreat.
And of course, that is exactly what happened during the total lockdown.
Okay.
You found that children, there was a kind of natural bond between the parents and the children, unlike before. Before 6 o'clock, the father is off. Before 8 o'clock, the mother is off.
So we thank God. We thank God for pandemic.
Let's not say we thank God for
pandemic.
No,
thank God. At least in that area,
yes, exactly.
Together so much. Families that were faced with domestic violence, it reduced drastically. Exactly. There was bond back in the family, unlike before.
All right. Now that there's something also from that testimonial about the suggestions he made. Actually, what the children can do to keep themselves busy. What do you think our kids can actually begin to do?
There are so many things a child should engage him or herself during this pandemic or even after the pandemic. Aside, of course, I listen to ABS on daily basis. Even when I'm at home, I'll just make a call. Please, tune to ABS. They have just started their online programs. You understand? That is one out of many. Secondly, apart from our education system, you should also engage your child in acquiring basic skills. We have children that have ventured on how to design, make graphic designs. We have children that have ventured into coding system. We have children that have gone into virtually a lot of things. Children that learn how to do makeup, learn how to sing and all of that. So there are so many things a child should engage himself.
Look at this one on top of the tree. Is that... What is he doing there? Is that part of the learning or part of keeping busy?
You know, there is this culture that, like mango trees, when the trees are in abundance, when you shake it, the blessings of the Lord will bring it down.
And apart from that, farming too. Farming, you take them to the farm so they can know what to do when there is hunger in the town.
Exactly.
You take them down to
Okay, now Chidubem, you know, you are part of Anambra Children's Parliament. Tell us what you feel have been doing since lockdown, and you know, what have you done to keep yourselves busy and to encourage other children around to keep themselves busy?
The parliamentarians in their magnanimity, we have gone far. We have gone far. We, at least, sensitization program is one of the things we have done. We have taken charge, and so many issues we have handled of sexual harassment, but that's not really the point. The point is that we have educated some children, though you can't go that far. There are millions of children everywhere. But at least we have educated some children. We have taught them the importance of their rights. Because these days, you find out that COVID-19, whatever has advantage has a disadvantage. In as much as it pains me to say it, the advantage of COVID-19 is like Ndi Igbo these days, we have seen a lot of things happening now, and as a result of staying at home, so I think it's good for us to stay at home, and we, the parliamentarians, have gone far in ensuring that children know their rights.
And apart from knowing their rights, you know, the things that they can do to help them, like the first person that was here in the course of that, Daniel, talked about what he did actually personally to engage himself, you know, and a lot of children that could not get back to school as a result of what they've gotten themselves into in the course of the lockdown. And I was like, you know, why were you not influenced? Don't you have friends? And from what he said, he talked about it depends on how you are nurtured that brought you to that level. So what practical things do you think these children can still do? Because the lockdown is being lifted gradually these days, and a lot of schools have not really opened. So what can they do? You know, what can they engage in practically? Every
human being has his talent. And the best thing they can do is to harness their talents. Like me as a person, I have entertainment, I have teaching as well as other talents. So if a child can go into learning how to trade, learning how to draw, learning how to even teach, or they can go into intensive reading, conversation, marriage with their books. serious marriage. By the time they start reading, they will come across new things they have not seen before. And they will find out that this pandemic is favorable. That's so many things they can do. They can start reading, they can start learning, they can start, should I say, learning how to sew clothes. There's so many skills they can go into.
All right, now, Barrister, part of what I saw in the testimonial we watched earlier is that these days, you equally said it here, these days parents don't really allow their kids to move out like that and mix up. Unlike those days, there are some outdoor games that kids can go at because all work without play makes Jack a dull boy. You know, they go out to mix up and play with others. I equally remember while growing up, we use these toy babies we do actually and stuff like that. We do it a lot that time. But these days, it's very, very hard to see a parent that will leave the kids to go out and mix up like that. You know, what other games can our kids, should it be only online games? You know, what do you think we can do this time? Maybe to replace what we used to do, like going out. You said you can't allow your kids. Yes. What do you think?
Anyway, the truth is that if truly that the interest of a child is of paramount consideration, we all know that when you are not there, restraining your child from leaving your home or your premises may be risky. Sorry, not restraining them may be risky. Hence, there are a lot of indoor games. We have Ludo. Okay. I play Ludo with my children sometimes when I come back from work and I want to relax. I play Ludo with them. I can also tell you that cartoon is an indoor game, more of. When you come back in the evening, you can just relax with them. What is the name of this cartoon you're watching? You know, and you see them getting excited. Hey, mommy, is Jack, whatever. You know, they'll be so excited to know about that. Mommy picked interest in the cartoon they are watching. You can also buy What? There is another one they call What of about 100 naira,
exactly.
And that one is also educated. We have Scrabble. Is this Scrabble?
Yes, Scrabble.
Yes, I have it.
It's equally educative.
It's very, very educative. You allow them to make words and sentences. You allow them to even cheat you sometimes so that you can balance the equation. You know.
Exactly,
so there are so many indoor games.
Okay. Now I don't know. Do we have any challenge of our kids getting busy during this period? Any challenge you can talk about? You know, maybe the light. Some people don't have light, but where I stayed in this Oka this week. There's light all the time, so I don't know.
Yes.
What do we talk about? You know, the challenges we face as a people to getting these things done.
Well, in every 12, there's always a Judas. There's always a catastrophe that can come out of anything. First is electronic gadgets that children have. These days in Oka, I think my own area, there has been constant light.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. So I wouldn't say light is really a problem these days.
Because of your place.
Yes, ma'am.
There are people that have not had light for 3 months, 1 year, 3 years.
Yes, ma'am, exactly. Light can also be a problem where they can't watch television, get educated, get values from what happens on TV. Then those who have light will face their own challenge, which is overuse of these gadgets. You will see a child of 9 years old, like one of the students I teach, 13 years old. He came to our lesson center last week and he was sleeping. And anything I say, he will be singing and humming it as if we are in a monologue. So I asked him, what time do you sleep? He said 2 a.m. I said, oh, the Lord is good, 2 a.m. So if a child of that age will continue chatting, hi, what's up? People have abandoned, like these days, they have forgotten the reason why phones were created, the reason why laptops were created, to browse and not to play games. Games has transmogrified them. It has gone from what I call the sublime to the ridiculous.
All right, when we get back, we'll talk about the way forward on getting them busy this period. But as it stands, let's quickly take our Vox Pop. Let's hear the pulse of the masses. We'll be back, please.
Akuzigola anyị ferinne. Akuzigola that we have to be technologically advanced. Parents, ọkwa ikuku asị gị ego mana ife ndị a bụ investment in our children or manpower development ka anyị gotesi ụmụ little things like ụmụ table top laptop whatever